Hello! Hi guys, welcome along to a new video on the channel. Now today, this is the final day of the Championship season. This is the predictions for today's games, but I'm also going to do a review, having a look at the league table and discussing that, as it's really exciting. What I love about the final day of the season is it is literally its final. Everything is, you've been building up for this day. And even as a Reading fan, we've got nothing to play for. Our season is over. We will be playing in the Championship next season, thank God. But for all the other teams, well, not all of them, but most, there's still some teams that have got some things to play for. We'll discuss all of that in length. But as we do, I will be doing a review of the Championship season for each of the teams, sort of how their season's gone, where we've sort of predicted them to finish and how I'd analyse their season. I'm going to do a separate video for Reading, being my team, and have a look back on what the season has been, what I'd like to see going forward as of next season, what my hopes are for next season, and things like that. So if you're interested in that video, then that will be coming soon as well as the playoff videos when we know who's playing who. And that's the other great thing about today. The playoff picture will come clear. We probably know roughly at the moment what teams are going to be in there, but we don't know who's playing who. And that can also be exciting. Obviously, there's the relegation. That's probably the hardest thing. For me, like I say, Reading are safe, and we have been for a while. But for teams of the clubs that I'm going to mention in a minute, they've got that relegation fear. Are they playing in League One next season, or are they playing in the Championship? So, without further ado, let's get on with this video. So we're going to start at the top of the Championship, and like I said in my previous video, massive congratulations to Leeds United Football Club for being promoted back to the Premiership, where they belong. And hopefully they'll have a long and prosperous time in the Premiership. Second place. Now, having a look at the table, West Brom are currently in second on 82 points, Brentford on 81, Fulham on 80. Now, one of those three teams, a win for Fulham, defeats for Brentford and West Brom, would see Fulham promoted to the Premiership in second. Obviously, a win for Brentford would see West Brom and Fulham in the playoffs. A win for West Brom and West Brom are in the Premiership. But there is also other little ups and downs, like a Brentford draw or a Fulham win or a West Brom draw, and there's so many different palpitations of how this can end up. But all I know is there's three sets of fans out there, West Brom fans, Brentford fans and Fulham fans, that are all thinking by 9:20, 9:30 tonight, we could be we will be a Premiership football team. Or it's the agony of the playoffs. So at least West Brom, Brentford and Fulham know at least they're guaranteed the playoffs, but they can potentially give themselves a Premiership place. And yes, like most of the other fans in the Championship, I'm extremely jealous, but hey, they've earned it. So we'll have a look at that now as well. And when I do the predictions, we'll go into it again in a bit more detail. But looking at it, West Brom have got the easiest option. Although the thing is here, if West Brom draw and Fulham win, Fulham are 83, so are West Brom. There's a possibility the goal difference could then see Fulham get promoted. So it's quite extraordinary. But if all three of them win, then it's as you are and West Brom are up. But we shall see what happens there. So move. I don't know what that bang was. I'm just going to go and investigate it. Sorry about that pause there, guys. I heard a massive bang and I was just working out if it was a door, a window, or who knows what. As I've got a Reading flag hanging out of that window and I've got scarves hanging out of the other window. So it could easily have been a brick, but it wasn't. So I'm guessing it might have been the door because I'm in a block of flats, so it could have been anything. So anyway, guys, as we were saying, going into the playoffs. Now, this looks pretty interesting. So I'm just going to get rid of this pop-up that's come up. I'm not going to announce it because that's advertising. Okay, so 7th is Swansea on 67, 6th is Cardiff on 70, and 5th is Nottingham Forest on 70. Now, a win for Swansea would give them 70 points. So it would go down to goal difference with Cardiff and Forest if they were to both lose. If Cardiff and Forest both lost, Swansea, if they were to win, would then have the upper hand. Now, Swansea are playing Reading, so no pressure on us then, Cardiff fans, eh? But in a way, pessimist, a Cardiff-Swansea playoff final, that could be interesting. But we shall see what happens today. But then if that was to happen, it would mean that Nottingham Forest would drop out of the playoffs altogether, and Derby County fans would love that. But however, if Nottingham Forest were, let's say, to get promoted, they would love it and Derby fans wouldn't. So there's a lot of little sort of side stories going along with those three teams for promotion and for playoffs. But at the end of the day, at least two of them will be back in the Championship next season, because obviously only one of the four in the playoffs can go up. So for Preston, ending the season on 65, if they were to win their game, they would be on 68. So they'd only just miss out by 2 points. So it's a bit harsh for them. Millwall, Blackburn, Bristol City, Derby have all finished just outside the par. In the middle of the table, for my team, Reading, we are currently in 15th on 56. So if we were to get a win against Swansea today, finish on 59, we can finish as high as 13th. And actually, to finish 13th after the season we've had would be superb. But I'm happy wherever we finish at the moment, because it means we're safe. But I will go on to the rest of it. So, moving towards the exciting but nerve-wracking side of things. As we have been saying over the last sort of few videos, Wigan's situation is a little bit weird. So it doesn't help the relegation picture at the moment. So I'm going to do this relegation picture as if they weren't being deducted the points. And then we'll have a look, once that table is sorted, what would happen if they then did lose their 12 points. So at the moment, bottom of the Championship, 24th, is Hull City, and they are on 45 points. 23rd is Barnsley, and they are on 46 points. 22nd is Luton Town on 48. So, for Hull City, a win, anything less than a win for Hull City today, and they are relegated to League One. A win for Hull, they would then be praying that both Luton and Barnsley didn't get points, because anything there and they would be relegated. Charlton in 21st are also on 48 points, so they come into the mix there as well. So, say a win for Hull and they're on 48, but if Charlton lose, Luton lose, they're all on 48, it would then go down to goal difference. For Barnsley on 46, they know a win for them. 49, again, they're hoping on results as well. If Luton get a win, they'd be on 51, and that's where it brings in the other teams. Huddersfield Town are in 18th on 51. Stoke City are safe. They're on 53. They will not be getting relegated even if they lose. Huddersfield Town are on 51 points. Middlesbrough are on 50. Birmingham are on 50. So what potentially could happen if Charlton, Luton and Barnsley all win and Birmingham and Middlesbrough lose? There's a possibility that Birmingham City and Middlesbrough could get relegated to League One. And you look at the teams in that bottom half. You look at Hull City, Barnsley, Luton, Charlton, Birmingham, Middlesbrough, Huddersfield. 7 teams. 3 of those 7 teams are going to but are going to get relegated to League One. Okay, we haven't brought the Wigan factor in yet. We'll do that in a minute. But that is seriously big for them. So let's bring Wigan into the occasion now. And Wigan, I believe, they're on 58. Okay? So they would be on 46 if they got the 12-point deduction. If that happens and they are on 46, then what it would mean is if Hull win and Barnsley win and Luton win, they'd be down. If Hull lose and Barnsley lose and Luton lose, small problem is they would also be relegated because they would be on 46. So what they're kind of hoping is that Hull and Barnsley both get beaten. They get a draw because then they need to get at least a draw today, Wigan. If Wigan were to lose, they would get relegated if this 12 points comes in this season because they'd be on 46. So that's why really you'd rather it get done now. They get the 12 points taken off rather than not. But if Wigan win, this is the big one. If they won, they'd be on 61. So they'd be on 59. So they would end on 49 points. That would literally just have them 1 point above the relegation zone. So again, it would depend on how Charlton, Luton, Barnsley and Hull got on. But then it potentially would save Birmingham and Huddersfield. So the relegation is all over the place. So Wigan need to win. They need to win to give themselves a glimmer of hope that the 12-point deduction doesn't relegate them. So now we spent the last 11 minutes looking at everything that can go on. Let's get into those predictions. So I am going to bring up, mind my face, I'm going to bring up the matches. Okay, so I've just seen Wigan's fixture. Wigan are at home to Fulham. Wow. Okay, so Fulham, as we know, are in fourth. Sorry, get it right, Charlie. And they potentially can finish second with a win. Now, so Fulham are going to be going for this gung-ho, and so are Wigan. This is tough because if I predict a draw, which I've got in my head, then obviously that would mean that both Fulham and Wigan wouldn't be in the best positions. Fulham would be guaranteed playoffs, but Wigan potentially would not be guaranteed Championship football. Unfortunately, I'm going to be the bearer of possible bad news for Wigan, and I think that Fulham are going to not steamroll this, but I think they're going to win by 2-1. Apologies, Wigan fans, I hope that doesn't happen. So, Luton at home to Blackburn. Now, this potentially for Luton could be an ideal situation because they're playing a team that's on the beach. They just have today to finish, and then they can go on and plan for next season. I don't know. I'm feeling a sneaky situation here. I'm going to go with Luton 1, Blackburn 0, and I think Luton will then survive. Sheffield Wednesday versus Middlesbrough. Now, this is not the game that Middlesbrough want. It's away from home. Sheffield Wednesday are a very good side. Although, again, like Blackburn, they've got nothing to play for today. They're safe for another season. I think Middlesbrough fans are going to be sweating today. I'm going with a 3-1 win for Sheffield Wednesday. Reading versus Swansea now, our final home game of the season, our final game of this season is at home to Swansea. Swansea obviously trying to get into those playoffs. Reading trying to end what has not been a fantastic season on a little bit of a better note than the unreal game we had with Blackburn the other day. I'm quietly confident that we can get a result today. But if I'm brutally honest, I can see this being a Championship fixture next season because I can see it finishing Reading 2, Swansea City 2, therefore a draw, and Swansea would not make the playoffs. So moving on to the champions, Leeds United versus Charlton. Now for Charlton, again, not the ideal situation playing the champions, although because Leeds are now champions and they don't have to worry about anything else, they might relax a little bit, but unfortunately, I think again for Charlton, it's going to be a very nervy afternoon because I've gone with a 2-0 win for Leeds United. Cardiff City versus Hull. Just when you don't want results to mean more, I actually feel that Hull City's time in the Championship could well be over. I do not see Hull getting a result here. They got absolutely tonked, is an understatement, by Wigan by 8-0, which if as a Hull fan, I'd be mortified, I think. And I'd still wear my shirt in pride, but I'd struggle. But yes, I think Cardiff are going to win 3-0, and I think that they will do well in the playoffs. But for Hull, unfortunately, I think, guys, it will be League One football for you next season. But all the best next season. And hey, you might still prove me wrong. So Hull fans, in the comments, feel free to say what you like. Brentford versus Barnsley. Now for Brentford, again, this is a brilliant fixture with Barnsley struggling for relegation. But however, the downside is Barnsley have been playing really, really well, and so have Brentford. This game potentially could be a draw, and that would open up the door for Fulham, it would open up the door for West Brom, and it would also potentially open up the door for Barnsley to get out of relegation if they could then find a winner. But I don't see it happening. I said this a while back, that I felt that if anybody was going to catch West Brom, and it weren't Nottingham Forest, it would be Brentford. And I do think that possibly can happen today, because I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Brentford. And unfortunately, Barnsley, that would condemn you to relegation to League One. Millwall versus Huddersfield Town. Now, Huddersfield are not mathematically 100% safe, because if the results I've just said about, say Charlton managed to get a win against Leeds, now they're champions, if Barnsley can beat Brentford, if Luton beat Blackburn, if Wigan can somehow find a result against Fulham, Huddersfield aren't safe. So they need to go to Millwall and get a result. Now Millwall, okay, they can't make the playoffs, but they've had a very strong season, Millwall, which I'll come to in the review when I do it. I don't know. I'm going to say 1-0 to Millwall. I think Huddersfield, again, they're going to have to be looking over their shoulders tonight. Moving on. Okay, to the last set of 4. So, Bristol City versus Preston, the most on-the-beach football match of the day. Bristol City can't get promotion. Brentford can't get promotion. Preston can't get promotion. I'd like to say 0-0, but I don't. I think it'll finish a 1-1. Nottingham Forest versus Stoke City. Now, for Nottingham Forest, this is a brilliant game for them. But again, it's kind of an on-the-beach game, because Stoke, they're not going to get relegated. Nottingham Forest are pretty much guaranteed playoffs. Although a defeat, they would then be relying on Reading to beat Swansea. But I don't think they're going to have to. I think Nottingham Forest will come out with a 2-1 win here against Stoke. Birmingham versus Derby. Again, the most on-the-beach game of the day. Birmingham City... Actually, no, it's not an on the beach. Birmingham are in that relegation scrap. I apologise. So, I think for Birmingham, then potentially this game, they really, really do need to find a win. But I've got Derby. I'm going 2-0 Derby. So that, again, is going to be an interesting evening for Birmingham as well. And nervy for them. West Brom versus Queen's Park Rangers, a.k.a. the fake hoops, as Reading fans like to call them. Don't shoot me. West Brom and QPR. QPR have had not a bad season, to be fair to them, all jokes aside. They were looking like they were possibly going to drop towards the relegation zone, but then they started to pick up the points they needed, and they were safe in mid-table. And I actually think they'll do quite well next season, but league prediction tables for next season I'll do another time. But this is not the easiest game for West Brom. I think they can win, which would obviously see them promoted to the Premiership, but I just think QPR can battle well. I'm going to say West Brom 1, QPR 1, and that would put West Brom possibly, if Brentford get the win in the playoffs. But, yeah, I've got to go. It's my prediction. Please don't shoot me, West Brom fans, but I'm going 1-1. So, guys, that completes my predictions and my look at the Championship final day of the season. Despite everything I've said in this video, I do honestly wish all of your teams the very best today. All the supporters, of Leeds United. Have a fantastic celebration. And good luck to everybody in playoffs, in promotion races for second place, and all the best of teams in relegation. And commiserations if you do get relegated, and congratulations if you survive. I will be coming back, guys, with the review of the season when it's concluded. Then I'll be bringing, obviously, the playoff videos out. I didn't do a playoff prediction for the National League. I was going to. I had a personal situation last week, which I won't go into on cam. But I am looking to try and catch up with the National League playoffs if I can do. If you'd like those, let me know in the comments, and I'll bring those to you. Other than that, guys, have a fantastic day. Enjoy your team's day as best you can. Again, Leeds fans, have a fabulous day. And all the best to, I won't name names, I say every team in the Championship, all the best. Let's make this season finish great, and let's look forward to a much better campaign next year. Alright guys, take care. Thank you for watching.